as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nations. We would like to thank the Mohawk Nation for their hospitality.
Nous reconnaissons que nous sommes sur un territoire autochtone millénaire, lieu de rencontre et de diplomatie entre les peuples, ainsi que du traité de la Grande Paix. Nous remercions la nation Mohawk de son hospitalité en ce territoire non cédé.
Athletes, please make your way immediately to the marshalling area for presentations. Athletes, please make your way to the marshalling area. We are moments away from the introduction of our athletes in the men's 3-meter championship final. Hello, diving fans. You see yourself up on the screen, give us a wave. We are just moments away from athlete introduction. You are now live on broadcast. Welcome to the men's 3-meter championship final. It's time to meet our athletes.
Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à la finale des hommes au tremplin de 3 mètres.
Representing France.
Représentant la France, Alexis Gendard.
Representing New Zealand.
Représentant la Nouvelle-Zélande,
Liam Stone. Representing France.
représentant la France, Jules Bouillet.
Representing Japan.
Représentant le Japon,
Haruki Suyama. Representing Canada.
représentant le Canada, Bryden Atty.
Representing Spain.
Représentant l'Espagne,
Nicolas Garcia Boissier. Representing United States of America.
représentant les États-Unis d'Amérique, Tyler Downs.
Representing Germany.
Représentant l'Allemagne,
Moritz Westman. Representing Great Britain.
représentant la Grande-Bretagne, Daniel Goodfellow.
Representing Australia.
Représentant l'Australie,
Lee Sheehan. Representing Great Britain.
représentant la Grande-Bretagne, Jack Law.
Representing People's Republic of China,
Représentant la République populaire de Chine,
Wang John Yuan. Diving fans, one more round of applause for your athletes in the men's 3-meter championship final.
Mesdames et messieurs, une bonne main d'applaudissements pour les finalistes à l'épreuve des hommes au tremplin de 3 mètres.
It is always our pleasure to introduce the officials for these events. Please welcome your referee, Barb Bush. Your assistant referee, Francine Lavoie.
Juge numéro 1, Victoria Tomlinson. Juge numéro 2, Mei Nakagawa. Juge numéro 3, Holger Schleps. Juge numéro 4, Amy Kwan. Juge numéro 5, Claire Marantette.
A beautiful
Juge numéro
Sunday
6.
here in Montreal for the last day of competition at the World Aquatics Diving World Cup. Jenna Bell, how are you today?
I'm very good. Very exciting to see all that beautiful day.
Lots of diving for you coming up in the next hours. We're going to see all of the individual finals, women and men on 3-meter and 10-meter, but today's first event is the men's 3-meter springboard. We have the current world champion in that event in Zhonghuan Wang of China. Jack Law, also a very established diver. It'll be very exciting to see some of that diving. All of these divers that you've seen over the weekend have qualified after the Olympic Games in Tokyo, the World Championships from last year, and so forth. And it has been a record-breaking weekend for the crowds here in Montreal. We're expecting pretty much a full stadium here today.
A full house, sort of.
A full house, exactly.
It's always fun to have a big crowd like that.
Absolutely. And you know what helps is the Chinese diving fans. The Chinese community here in Montreal are showing up in big numbers, coming to support their favorite divers. And they're real fans. They know about diving, which makes their reaction very, very tangible when it happens.
And they are everywhere.
Absolutely, everywhere in the world. There's always a lot of Chinese fans. Very, very important sport in their country, if not their national sport. As the divers right now are just getting warmed up after the athlete's presentation. It's a bit of a dead moment in between. You have to stay focused, get your energy going again.
So Alex, this is your event that you used to take part of.
That was my marquee event. That's a long time ago, about 11 years ago now.
It goes
Since
fast.
I retired. Yep, time flies. But it's always fun for me to be able to watch. I always consider myself a bit of a super fan. You know, I have all the knowledge about the sport. I'm so happy I'm sitting here in the chair with you, describing the dive, talking about it, and not having to be on the springboard like the men right now, because the level of competition is just incredibly high. And the referee has given the kickoff whistle. And we get started here for the third day of competition in Montreal with Alexis Gendard of France. He'll start the competition with a inward 3.5 somersaults tuck. All the dives you'll see today are very high in degree of difficulty.
Good start, good start. I really love how his feet stayed on the board, and I feel like this is very important to get all the momentum from the springboard. And he grabbed his tuck position. He could have been a little bit more sure for his come out right there.
Show more confidence.
Confidence, exactly. But it's the first dive. He's the first one to break the ice, and he just did.
And it is 10 a.m. For a final, it is quite early in the day. Sometimes there's a buildup that happens to create a little bit of a feeling in the competition. So now it's straight to the final in the morning. And he kicked it off.
Something that is not common to have a final at 10
That's right. Different format this year in this World Cup season. All the finals happening on the same day for the individual events. On we go with Liam Stone of New Zealand. He'll be doing a forward 2.5, 1 twist, pike position.
Beautiful. And this is a smaller dive for men competition, so I'm really surprised, but it's really nice to see that he gets all his height. He barely touches his feet, but he's so strong that he's capable of doing this with so much finesse. He got a beautiful entry, and that's what we love.
Good decision to choose an easier dive for him, 67.50. Solid start for Liam Stone. Here comes the Frenchman, Jules Bouillet, and his first dive will be an inward 3.5 in the tuck position, 3.4 degree of difficulty.
Okay, that was a little bit close for me.
I wasn't comfortable either, I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like his feet went a little bit too much in front, and that's the reason why when you do an inward rotation, you need to go a little bit more for back to be safe. And that's the reason why the judges deduct.
4.5 and 5 will be retained for this dive. 49.30, that is a miss to kick off the event.
Representing Japan.
From Japan now, Haruki Suyama. His first dive will be a forward 3.5 somersault pike.
Beautiful, beautiful. He was a little bit back to the end of the board, which make the board a little bit harder right here.
Wow.
But this dive is so simple for him. Even though he wasn't in a great position, he didn't panic, grabbed his pike position, and opened and came out for a very beautiful entry.
8s are the scores for him, 74.40. Shaking off the nerves, maybe, starting with the first dive. And here comes young Canadian Bryden Haiti. Just starting to establish himself on the international scene here. He'll be doing an inward 2.5 pike position.
Wow, that entry was fantastic. I really love Brandon's style because I just feel like it's so simple. His pike position, it's always super nice, and the quality of his entry, I feel like that's his signature.
The feet got very close to the springboard here, and that's normal in that type of dive. But the judges really appreciated it. 8, 8.5 are the scores. Good start for Bryden. Next up is Spanish diver Nicolas Garcia Boissier. His first dive will be an inward 2.5 pike, 3.0 degree of difficulty.
Great dive. So this is the same dive as Bryden, and I feel like when you do a smaller dive, and especially at this level, you have to really have a beautiful entry. You have to make sure that there's no splash, otherwise the judges will deduct. And right here, unfortunately, he came out too early, and that creates a big splash.
And he was short from the vertical, so that will be penalized here. 7.5s, and at this level, these are scores that are costing a lot of points.
especially for the men's event, because they're doing big dives. So when you do a smaller dive, you want to have those scores.
It has to be very good.
Yes.
Up next is Tyler Downs of the United States of America. His first dive will be a forward 3.5 pike position.
Beautiful. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Did you ever start with a hurdle?
So the approach, no, I never really liked doing that because I was always nervous on the first dive. But a lot of guys, and the women as well, decide to start with the approach, maybe get it out of the way, you know?
Maybe, or this is just simpler for them, but even for me, it was not something that I would have considered.
Very nice dive for Tyler. 8s are being retained for this dive, 74.40 to kick off the event. Here comes German Moritz Wiesmann. 3.4 degree of difficulty for an inward 3.5 somersaults tuck.
Okay, a lot of movement.
I know, and I see you moving over here as well.
A lot of movement, but I feel like the German, this is how they get their momentum.
That's their technique.
Yes, that's their technique, and it's very good. You see that he got his inward rotation pretty good. His tuck position is nice. He came out a little bit too late, and that's the reason why the entry wasn't as clean.
And if we pay attention to the distance from the board in this type of dive for people at home now, it's about a foot and a half away is the distance that the judges want to see. Up next is Daniel Goodfellow of Great Britain, very experienced diver, and he'll start the competition with a forward 2.5 with 2 twists in the pike position.
Wow.
I mentioned the pike position.
Yes.
We didn't see much of that here.
We didn't see, and but you know what? I feel like he knows how to control that dive, and here is a different technique. He didn't touch his spike, but he went right away in his twist position. He gave everything that he got to get that beautiful entry.
So much abdominal work happening to keep those legs close to the body at the end. Lining up great, 7.5s for his dive. 76.50 for Goodfellow. Here comes the veteran of this event, 36 years old for Li Shixin, representing Australia, formerly a competitor for the People's Republic of China, has made the move with his family. He'll be doing a forward 2.5 with 2 twists.
It's really nice to see that he grabbed his pike position.
Different technique entirely.
Different technique, but the same dive. So this is what we were talking about. He did touch his pike. He had his beautiful twist position, and he went for his entry. So it's just the same dive that we just see, but 2 different techniques.
So much experience for Li Shixin. It's a good start for the competition, 83.30. You can see now there's 7 judges. The top 2 scores and the lower 2 scores are being taken out. You add up the 3 remaining scores, multiply by the degree of difficulty, and that gives you all the points that you need. Here's British diver Jack Law. He'll be doing the exact same dive, 3.4 degree of difficulty.
Okay, I would say that that's a little miss for Jack.
Because it's such an easy dive for him to accomplish. He's such a powerful diver.
Powerful, he grabbed his spike position, and then unfortunately, he went a little bit too much with his head in at the end of the entry right here, so that made him roll over.
It's such an advantage to be so strong, being able to jump so high, but you also have to be able to control all that strength, and that's a challenge for Jack Law. One more diver remaining in this first round, Zhongyuan Wang of China, and his first dive will be an inward 3.5 tuck position, 3.4 degree of difficulty. Lots of coaches using iPads now to have instant replay for their divers as soon as they come out of the water.
Control of his dive.
Chinese fans are loving it. It's going to be a good day.
Yes. So here you can see that he grabbed his duck position. He came out in the pike position, but he controlled his entry. He grabbed his arms so tight. That makes that beautiful entry right here.
Big scores for Zhongyuan Wang, 8.5s and 9s for a total of 90.10. Right away looking at his own dive, trying to know exactly what happened. But that puts him in the lead in this men's 3-meter final. Australia in second, Germany in third for the moment, and Bryden Haiti in 6th place after one round.
You know, a little earlier, Alex, you're talking about the iPad, and it's sometimes you see something, sometimes it's something that we can see when we go back home, back in the lab, that we can see what we did good or wrong.
It's almost taking your homework to your place and thinking about diving even when you're at home to be even better the next day. Here comes Alexis Gendard of France with a front 3.5 somersaults pike.
So high. I think he almost went, well, actually he went higher to the 5-meter, close to the 7-meter. Here he grabbed his tie. He could have been closer on his pike position, and he came out a little bit too early, and that makes it a little difficult for the entry, but he was so tight that he was able to make a beautiful entry.
Alexis definitely thinking ahead at Paris 2024. I'm sure he will be there, and that's a great second round for him. Liam Stone of New Zealand, he will be performing a back 2.5 pike position.
Great dive, great dive. I really love how his arm circle went all the way around him before grabbing his pike right here. He got his pike. He went to see the water 2 times, so move his head perfectly to come out at the right moment and get that entry.
Very defined technique. The judges love to see that. 7.5s are the scores for Liam. And he's all smiles after 2 dives. Here comes Jules Bouillet of France, and his second dive will be a forward 3.5 somersault pike position.
Beautiful entry, beautiful entry. It was in a little technical problem here when he jumped a little bit too much back at the end of the board. You want to be at the end of the board, and he was back, so that makes the board harder. But he remained calm, and he grabbed his pike position, beautiful pike position, and went for that entry.
And it's a nice showing of not giving up. Even though you're in a bad position on the board, you really give it everything you got right up until the end, and that earns him 8s for this front 3.5 pike. Here comes Haruki Suyama from Japan with an inward 3.5 tuck position.
Close.
Just a little bit missing here.
A little bit missing, close enough. I mean, I felt like he jumped a little bit too much down. He went really fast on his tuck position. That makes him missing height.
Got to use that board as much as possible, trying to get that height, but you also have to get into the rotation.
Sort of changing the momentum.
Exactly, a bit of deduction here, 6.5 and 7s for Haruki. Bryden Haiti of Canada, his second dive will be a forward 3.5 somersaults, pike position. Team Canada cheering him on.
He had a beautiful takeoff. Pike position was beautiful right here, but he came out way too late with his head in. That makes him pass the vertical and land on his back.
And he was also in a bad position on the board, which probably affected his judgment in the air. Make him change decisions, hold on to the pike position just a little too long. And unfortunately, it's 5.5s for the dive. Has to shake it off and get focused again. Nicolas Garcia Boissier of Spain. He will be doing the exact same dive. Always has the exact same routine before the dive.
And he took that opportunity that Bryden missed for him to get that extra point by doing the exact same dive and with a better quality of the entry. And right here, he grabbed his pike position and went for that entry with confidence, and that gave him a beautiful entry right here.
7.5 on the dive. Domenico Rinaldi of Italy, now coaching in Spain. Giving all the tips here for Nicolas. From the United States now, Tyler Downs, 20 years old. He'll be doing a forward 2.5 with 2 twists, pike position.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Wow.
Wow. There's not much to say about that dive. I feel like here he could have had his straight a little bit more straight when he, right here in his hurdle, we didn't see, but I mean, that dive was very good. And the quality of that entry is what we want to see.
The judges want to see the divers go very high. Maybe that's a bit of deduction here, 7.5s and 8s. 78.20 for Tyler. Here comes the German now, very big dive here, 3.5 degree of difficulty, a reverse 3.5 somersault tuck. Oh.
That's what we wanted to see with heights. He went really high, and that's what we want to see here, waiting on the board, grab his tuck position, look at the water 3 times, and then come out to place his feet right up and get that entry.
A little bit of splash at the end, lose a bit of points there, 6.5, 7. Very stressful dive, so good result in the end. From Great Britain, Daniel Goodfellow. He's earned a lot of podiums on the Grand Prix circuit over the years. Very experienced. And he'll be doing an inward 3.5 tuck position. 3.4 degree of difficulty.
Wow.
Beautiful dive.
Have you noticed his come out, how confident he was? And I really love that.
And the judges are not going to miss that.
No, right here he came out very fast and then get that entry. He was very confident. He knew that he got it.
Very tight tuck position. Big score of 81.60 on the dive. Staying focused. Only 2 rounds into this event. And here comes Li Shixin of Australia. Following along with a forward 3.5 pike position.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
high up in the air.
So high, and the judges will love it for sure. His pike position was very nice. There's no distraction. It was simple, and that's what we want to see.
And if I can be a little bit picky in the pike position, I see the legs a tiny little bit bent.
Tiny bend, yes. But sometimes the judges can't see it because the divers are hiding it with their elbows.
They didn't see it here. 8s and 8.5s on the dive. Solid round for Li Shixin. And Jack Law has a stacked list of dives with high degree of difficulty. So right away in the second round, 3.5 with a reverse 3.5 tuck.
Almost. If you can hear the sounds of the board going boom, and that means he didn't have a great timing with the board. That creates difficulty, and probably he reacted to that because we can hear it also.
And you can feel it in your feet as well.
Also, yes. So that means when he was in the air, he had the time to really come out a little bit later, but he didn't react to that. He came out a little bit too early.
73.50 on this one. He knows he can do better. Still in the hunt for a podium result in the end. One more dive in this second round. Zhang Yuan Wang of China doing a reverse 1.5, 3.5 twist. Also a high degree of difficulty of 3.5 here.
And the coaches are happy.
We rarely see that kind of emotion from the coaching staff and the fans.
Yes, very beautiful. The technique has to be perfect to make that dive, and he did. He went really straight up, his twist position super tight, and grabbed his hands for that beautiful entry.
And the twisting happens so fast, and the legs stay really tight together here, which is amazing to see. I have no doubt he'll be rewarded for this dive. And here it is, 9.5s on this one for the Chinese. 99.75, massive score. Solidifies the lead, already nearly 30 points ahead of Li Shixin of Australia. Daniel Goodfellow in third. And Tyler Downs just trailing Bryden Haiti in 11th right now, has to come back from a more difficult round. Li Shixin, formerly of China. And there's your leader right now. Just solidifying the lead, almost 30 points ahead, as I mentioned. After 2 dives, that's quite a bit.
Yes.
On we go with the third round, and here's Alexis Gendard of France. He will be doing a back 2.5 pike position, 3.0 degree of difficulty. Oh, good save.
Good save, good save. Very important for that dive to look at the water and place your feet at the board, especially when you have time, because the men jump so high. So right here, could have grabbed his pike position closer to his body. Look at the water, place your feet. He placed his feet at the water, so that was way too short.
We did see the legs kind of fall down, and you don't want to be doing that.
No.
6.5s for this one. He knows he made a bit of a mistake here. Here comes Liam Stone of New Zealand, a silver medalist on the Grand Prix circuit back in 2017, right here in Canada. His third dive will be a forward 3.5 somersaults pike.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
That was very beautiful.
I love his energy, the tight, straight legs, and he really transcends that to the judges and the crowd. We can feel it.
And also was so nice and simple. Grab his pike position, very close to his body, open for the water, and went for that entry with confidence.
Very happy with the dive. 8s are being retained for 74.40. Up next, Jules Bouillet of France. He will be doing a back 2.5 pike position, 3.0 degree of difficulty.
Almost. I feel like his legs, once again, like his synchro partner, Alexis, his leg was a little bit too short, so he lost that connection right here, and that that puts him in a short position.
I would have liked a little more speed in the rotation as well. Give him more momentum. Oh, he's shaking his head. He knows 6.5s. He's got to move on and start focusing on the next dive. Here comes Haruki Suyama of Japan, a bronze medalist in the synchronized event at the first leg of the World Cup. Actually, at this World Cup here in Montreal a couple days ago, yesterday.
And this is what you were saying, by having more speed. He went for that speed, and there's different type of technique. But he went for that speed, saw the water 2 times. It would have been better for him to really place his feet and keep that connection there to create a better entry.
Very elegant divers, 6.5, 6.5, and 7 are retained for the dive. Here comes Bryden Haiti of Canada. He'll be doing a reverse 2.5 pike position, 3.0 degree of difficulty.
Oh, nice save on that entry. That's an easy dive for Bryden, and I feel like he has a different technique, but he knows exactly where he is. He went to see that water 2 times, placed his feet. He knew that he was going to pass the vertical, but he didn't panic. He worked that entry. Right here. Beautiful.
Another great showing of not giving up right up until the end. Tommy McLeod, his coach, very happy. Already moving on to the next dive. 7.5s and 8s for Bryden. Nicolas Garcia Boissier of Spain. His third round dive will be a back 2.5 pike position. just at the end there.
Just
Artur
at the
Miranda
end.
of Canada.
So I feel like he jumped a little bit too much back with his shoulder right here on the board. So that creates a momentum that we saw it at the end. So here he jumped with his shoulder, had his knee bend. And when you bend your knees, it gives you a little bit more speed. So you want to control that also.
57 points is the total for the dive, for the Spanish diver. Tyler Downs up next for the United States of America. He'll be doing the exact same dive. We're seeing a lot of the same on this dive in this event.
Yes, maybe it's too easy for them. No, it would have been much better for him. He had a beautiful pike position, but his head was in, so maybe he wasn't sure where exactly he was in the air to really go get that entry.
And the legs again coming out of the pike position, falling down. You really have to keep your abdominal muscles really tight so that they follow and go straight into the water. Up next, Moritz Wiesmann from Germany with a forward 2.5, 2 twists.
Wow, so
beautiful.
Beautiful, simple dive. He went really high, used that board to get his speed, grab his twist, and easy to control that entry.
Gets really high in the air.
And that's what we want for that dive.
7.5 and 8s on the dive, 79.90. Very good result. Daniel Goodfellow of Great Britain. His third round dive is a reverse 3.5 somersaults tuck.
Dive on 10 meters, so he knows how to go get that entry. He was a little bit in trouble in his hurdle, but he didn't panic. He saw the water, grabbed his tuck position, saw the water 3 times, and placed his feet to get that beautiful entry right here.
In the reversed rotations, there's always a little bit more stress, and that did not faze him. 8.5s on the dive. Very big scores for Daniel Goodfellow. Pressure is on for Lee Shishin of Australia with an inward 3.5 tuck position, 3.4 degree of difficulty. He's got a lot of experience. He knows what it's like to come right after a great dive.
And that experience speaks for itself.
Very steady.
Yes, simple, no, nothing distracting. Right here, he grabbed his tuck position and he went for that entry.
Just a very steady dive. No wow factor happening here. 7.5s all around. As long as you stay consistent with no big mistakes, you're in the run for a good result. And then comes Jack Law of Great Britain with an inward 3.5 tuck position, 3.4 degree of difficulty. He is having an off day.
Yes, very hard for him today. But the thing with Jack is he's so powerful that he didn't have to react like this. He came out a little bit too early, and with that momentum of doing inward because you want to jump back from the springboard. So with that momentum, he came out too early, and that put him short.
It's a disappointment for the Olympic bronze medalist. And he knows it. Mistakes like that one at this level are just unacceptable.
Yes.
Very, very big dive here. 3.9 degree of difficulty for a forward 2.5, 3 twist pike position.
You really need to have a beautiful technique and to be very strong. And sometimes it can be hard to connect those two together. But he did perfectly. Grab his pike position, did his twist very tight, and then went for that beautiful entry.
There is so much going on in that dive. You have to get into that pike position at first, get into your twisting position so fast as well. Massive score here, 95.55 to keep the lead in this event. And I find it very interesting that he loves to watch the dive right away after he gets out of the water.
Especially that it was good.
I know. He just wants more.
Yes.
Zhang Yuan Wang in complete control of this event. Daniel Goodfellow in second. Li Shixin of Australia third. That podium finish so far is getting quite established. Braden Haney of Canada in 10th place at the moment. And here's your leader, very relaxed, keeps his composure from the People's Republic of China. He is having such a great event. It is no surprise for me to tell you that he is the current world champion. Won gold in Budapest in 2022 at the World Championships. Just showing off anything you need to know about diving. Keeps his composure. The technique is just flawless, no matter the difficulty of the dive. And there are 3 more rounds to go for him to solidify his dominance.
He's definitely going to be someone to look at the next Olympic Games in Paris.
Daniel Goodfellow doing really well in this competition so far. Just a few points ahead of third. So he has to keep going with 3 more dives to go. Round number 4 kicking off here. A little bit more time in between rounds at this point. All the divers making sure they're staying warmed up. Here comes Alexis Gendard of France. Reverse 1.5, 3.5 twists.
Beautiful, beautiful. For that dive, it's very technique. You don't need power for that dive. So if you give too much power, that can be very hard to control that entry. So right here, he jumped a little bit too much with his shoulder, and that creates speed, and that's the reason why it was hard for him to control his entry.
Only 1.5 rotation here, so speed is not an issue for anyone. 7.5s are retained on the dive. Bigger degree of difficulty for Liam Stone now of New Zealand. He'll be doing a reverse 3.5 somersaults tuck position, 3.5 degree of difficulty.
Almost. I feel like he went too much in his stuck position, and
Too fast.
Too fast, exactly. So that affect his height, and we were able to see it at the entry. Right here, he went too fast in his stuck, and that's the reason why he couldn't make that dive to on his head.
You got to use the board all the way. Use every inch of it going up. He knows he made a mistake here.
When you do big dives, sometimes you want to go fast, you want to rush for that speed, but you need that height.
Jules Bouillet of France will be doing the same dive as his teammate. Reverse 1.5, 3.5 twist.
Wow, beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yes, and that's what I was talking about. When you don't need speed, you really want to work on that technical stuff. He was a little bit back on the board, but he didn't panic. He went on this twist position, and he was able to control that come out right here to get that entry.
The Frenchman can be happy. 82.25 on the dive. Big scores here. Let's see what Japanese Haruki Suyama has to say about this with a reverse 3.5 somersaults tuck. Extra level of nervousness here. Just a little degree short of vertical.
Yes, and he could have placed his feet higher, and that would have been good. And once again, I felt like he went too much in his tuck. He went for the speed instead for the height, compared to the height, and that's the reason why he was not able to really place his feet at this moment and get that entry.
And the divers keep their eyes open. They see the 3 rotations happen, spotting the water. Unfortunately, 5.5s and 6 for this one for the Japanese. Here comes Bryden from Canada. His 4th dive will be an inward 3.5 tuck position, 3.4 degree of difficulty.
Big dive for Bryden. Beautiful.
Good effort.
Good effort. Yes, that's a big dive for him. And I feel like I really love the connection on the board. Like his feet were connected to the board right here, and he went to grab that tuck position. Was missing a little bit of height, but that's something that he can go back home and work on that.
Beautiful tight tuck position. That helped on this dive. 6.57 as well on the dive for a total of 68 points. Tommy McLeod, happy with the result. That's his coach, of course. And up next is Nicolas Garcia Boissier of Spain, doing a reverse 2.5 pike position.
Beautiful, simple dive. He went for that dive, grab his pike position, and you can see that you will be able to see his head moving, and that's to look at the water right here. 1, 2, and then place his feet at the right place to get that entry.
Because if people are wondering, it's not by chance that we know where we are in the air.
There's a technique behind that.
Absolutely. 63 points on the dive. No big mistake here. Very steady. Tyler Downs of the United States of America, his next dive will be an inward 3.5 tuck, 3.4 degree of difficulty. Also having a very consistent event.
Okay. He knows how to work that entry. He knows. So I felt like he could have been a little bit more straight at the come up, and he kept that pike position. So right here, beautiful tuck position, come out in the pike position, and he knew maybe that it was gonna be short, so he kept that position to really work that entry.
So the body not fully stretched out at the end. 6.5s on this. And there's his coach already moving on to the next dive. You mentioned strength a lot in this event for the divers. This is one that requires a whole lot of it. A back 3.5 somersaults, 3.6 degree of difficulty for the German.
Few divers can make that dive.
I tried. Didn't work out very well.
Oh, beautiful.
Very impressive.
Very, very. And you see how he went for it. He went for that height. He went for that speed. Beautiful tuck position, place his feet, and get that entry done.
Once again, the importance of using the board on this one to its maximum to give yourself all the tools possible. Coach is happy. That's worth a fist pump. 7s on the back 3.5 for Moritz Weisman. I promised you big dives today, and here they come. A forward 2.5, 3 twists, pike position for Daniel Goodfellow of Great Britain. This is the biggest dive of the competition, 3.9 degree of difficulty.
Almost, and I've seen him doing that dive very good.
And he knows that his reaction says it all.
Yes, you need really to use that board, and we were able to see that he was in trouble, and he had to push himself forward, but it was very hard for him.
And I remember you yesterday talking about the sound that the board makes, and that was clearly a case of him being in trouble. You cannot be in trouble on this dive. It's so difficult to accomplish. Unfortunately, that's a big miss for the British diver. On to the next now with Lee Shishin of Australia with a back 2.5 pike position for the 36-year-old.
Beautiful. You know what, Alex, sometimes it can be a challenge to do big dives and then come back for a different round with a smaller dive. And you need to control those nerves. And he did it. He went on his dive. He was really calm, grabbed his pike position, see the water 2 times, and place his feet at the board to really get that entry.
In full control, 8s for the dive for a total of 72 points. Lee Shishin is having a good day. The very powerful Jack Law of Great Britain, he will also be doing a back 3.5 somersaults in the tuck position. With his strength, the dive is not that difficult to accomplish.
But can be difficult to control.
Yes, indeed. Oh, no!
Yes. That's a big miss.
Not very common from the Olympic bronze medalist.
So like you mentioned earlier, it's very important when you come out of that tuck position or pike position, you really need to stay tight with your abdominal. And unfortunately, we were able to see that Jack lost that connection, and that makes him having that score.
Another difficult round for one of the veterans in this event. One more dive to go in this round. Zhang Yuan Wang of China. He is your leader. Fully composed for a reverse 3.5 somersaults in the tuck position.
Oh, okay, so that's a big miss for him.
Absolutely. I was going to say, he's human.
He's human.
He can make mistakes as well.
Yes, but when you can make mistakes like that, which are not big mistakes, by the way, it's something that is just, it's not technical. It's maybe his nerve that speak up, because his technique is so good. He just overreacted for that entry.
He's so high in the air, and he just lined up his arms the wrong way, and that created the splash at the end. He'll be disappointed with that, but he still gets 78 points, 75 points on this one.
Not everybody that get disappointed with that score.
Exactly, and that keeps him in the lead. A monster advance here with 364.15 points. Australia second, Germany third, and Bryden Haiti of Canada picking up some steam, currently in 9th place. Here's your leader. Always has the same routine after the dives. Looks at it on the iPad, goes straight to the shower to keep warm. Huge Chinese contingency present today for all the events that are going to be happening here in Montreal. And they are blessed with a great show from their favorite diver on the men's 3-meter springboard, Zhongyuan Wang. On to round 5 now with Alexis Gendard of France. He'll be doing a reverse 3.5 tuck, 3.5 degree of difficulty.
Wow, beautiful dive. I would have loved to see a little bit more finesse in his position, but in general, it was very good. Right here, he went super high to grab his tuck position. He came out. I feel like his toes can be a little bit more pointed, and that's to be very picky right here.
Of course. I'm not seeing the confidence that we've seen in other divers in this event, like the Chinese, for example. But still, a good result, 82.25 for this one. Alexis can be very happy. Liam Stone of New Zealand following up with an inward 2.5 pike position. Lower degree of difficulty here, 3.0. We can expect a good dive.
Nice and easy, very simple dive. That entry could have been a little bit cleaner, but in general, it was a very good dive for Liam.
Coming off of a more difficult round before. And that creates a momentum for the judges as well. Even though this was a decent dive, he gets 6.5s and 7. Not in the run for a podium result. Still wants to finish off strong. Gilles Bouillet of France. He'll be doing a reverse 2.5 pike position.
Beautiful, beautiful. When we see smaller dives like that, it's always fun to see the quality of the technique, finesse. His pike position was very tight, which is very nice. Saw the water 2 times, and he placed his feet with no panic. He controlled that entry to that come out to really get that entry.
Legs completely straight. I really enjoy that from this dive. 8s are retained for a total of 72 points on the dive. Another diver with the really exquisite technique, Haruki Suyama of Japan. He'll be doing a reverse 1.5, 3.5 twist. Little mistake at the end.
Little mistake at the end, and you cannot react to how your dive, your hurdle, your approach is. He was a little bit back, so probably he felt like he had too much speed, trying to control that, and that's a really technical dive. So when you feel like you're in trouble, you cannot panic. You really have to stay calm to get that entry, because for them, it's not hard.
6.5s, of course, that entry in the water, creating that splash will have cost him a few points here. Bryden Haiti coming up with a back 2.5 pike position, 3.0 degree of difficulty. The junior Canadian team cheering him on here in Montreal.
Work at the
Very
entry.
nice.
Very nice. I really love how he really went for that speed, but he had to really control that come out to not land over. Grab his pike position, right, and always have nice pike position, and that create a very beautiful dive.
There's his coach, Tommy McLeod. They train in Victoria, British Columbia. All smiles after this back 2.5 pike. Up next from Spain, Nicolas Garcia Boissier. Reverse 1.5, 3.5 twists. Keeps his foot on the fulcrum right up until the whistle comes. Same routine on each dive.
When you do that many twists, you really need to be centered on the board. And he was on the side of the board, I don't know, right here. So when you go into that twist connection, it creates a movement, and that's very hard to control, and that's the reason why he was on the side.
And even though the judges are beside him, they can see that his body was not quite straight getting into the water, and he'd lose some points for that. Very big dive coming up for Tyler Downs of the United States. Reverse 3.5 somersaults, tuck position, 3.5 degree of difficulty. Whoa, that's a major miss.
That's a major miss, but whew, it could have been worse.
What? You can hear it in our voice now. We were quite stressed for this one because Tyler was so far behind from the end of the board, and that just makes it almost impossible to get that rotation going.
I'm actually surprised that he went and he didn't come out of his position. And when you're back of the board is harder. And when you're doing a reverse, that makes you have to go back to the board. So it can be very tough to keep that decision, to make that dive.
Moritz Weismann of Germany, he follows up with a front 4.5 somersaults, tuck position. Big dive coming up here.
Oh, almost. He's very powerful. There's two types of diver. There's some of them that are more finesse, but he's very elegant, but he's also have that connection speed.
All power.
All power. So he grabbed that tuck position, and he had so much momentum that it was hard for him to control that entry, and that's the reason why it creates a lot of splash.
3.8 degree of difficulty on this one, 74.10 for the German. I love to be able to compare the divers doing the same dives one after another, and it's the case right here with Daniel Goodfellow of Great Britain, also doing a forward 4.5 somersaults tuck.
Oh, overreaction. What do you think?
He had so much space to complete the dive, but also the fact that he was so far from the board right here, that gives him too much speed, and it's very hard to control at the end.
Very hard, and I felt like he overreacted to that. He a little bit panicked to not fall off the board, and then it gives him too much reaction, and you can't be on that. You have to move on. When you're in the air, you have to go for your dive.
Everything happens so fast. The decision making is crucial. Big dive for Li Shixin of Australia. Reverse 3.5 somersaults, tuck position. I can see it in his body language. He's a bit more nervous for this one.
Taking more his time.
A lot of deep breaths to control the nerves.
taking his time. That was the chance for him to really nail that dive and to go get that score. He was in total control, beautiful tuck position. He knew exactly where he was to really place his feet and get that beautiful entry.
He's not the most refined diver out there. He won't be the most elegant. But with an entry like that one, the scores will follow. 8.5s and 8s on the dive for a total of 85.75. And I see your reaction, Jen. If we look at the other scores, they were a bit lower. Sometimes it's the finesse, the technique that we didn't quite see here, but in all, a very good dive. All right, let's see if Jack Law can work his magic here. A front 4.5 tuck position. He's got to use all of his power here.
Almost he had it, and he took that opportunity to really go get those scores, but unfortunately he did miss that entry right here.
And he's a very high-level diver. These mistakes are very uncharacteristic of him. Just that little edge at the end that he's not quite capable of doing today. But huge degree of difficulty in 3.8. That brings him to a 79.80 total for the dive. He's just a little bit off in each and every one of his dives today. But here's a diver that's doing completely fine so far. Young Zhonghuan Wang of China. He'll be doing a back 3.5 somersaults, tuck position, 3.6 degree of difficulty.
Wow. You know, when you work that entry, you really need to go to place your hands at the perfect place in the water to make it clean. And he did it so perfectly right here. He was a little bit short, but he went on his hand right there. Go get that entry. He used that board to get that momentum. It was a very beautiful dive.
So you see that face? That face tells us that he had to work hard for this one. And he made it harder on himself not having such a tight tuck position. But he has all the tools to make it happen. 90 points total for the back 3.5 and your leader in this event.
And I'm sure he knows that he had to work that entry.
454 points, point 15 with one dive to go. Australia second, Germany third. Bryden Haiti still climbing up the ladder here in 8th place for the moment. Wow, that was, I'm almost out of breath just watching this back 3.5 that just happened. Here's your 3rd place diver at the moment with one more dive to go, Moritz Wiesmann of Germany. 2nd place, originally from China, diving for Australia now, Li Shixin. He's staying very focused. He knows he's having a good day. And there's your fearless leader. We still get a smile out of him, but he knows the event is not quite complete to make sure he wins that gold medal. One more dive to go. Alexis Gendard of France with a forward 2.5 with 2 twists.
Beautiful, beautiful. Her coach Clémence, very happy. He was very high, so for him it's about controlling. Grab his pike position, went into his twist, and really worked that entry. That was very nice.
I like about his diving the fact that he doesn't make big mistakes, you know, so there's always space to be a great diver, to be competitive, looking ahead at Paris 2024, competing at home. He'll be a contender to put on a great show for the home crowd. From New Zealand, Liam Stone, he will finish the day with the same dive, a forward 2.5, 2 twists, pike position. 3.4 degree of difficulty.
Wow.
Wonderful dive.
Wonderful. And you know, when you're about to go in, you know when it's going to be a good one or not. And I know that Liam knew exactly because he was perfectly placed on the board. He grabbed his pike position, went into that twist super tight to get that that entry.
We could feel the confidence coming out of him, and that shows on the scores as well. 8.5s. And he's very happy with his last dive, finishing off the competition. Very strong. Going to see a lot of twisting dives in this round. Jules Bouillet of France will be doing the same dive, forward 2.5 with 2 twists in the pike position.
Beautiful. He was in a little trouble when
Good save.
Good save, yeah. He was in trouble on his board work. Right here was a little bit more back, but didn't get distracted by it. Went into his dive, got a beautiful pike position, and his twist was so tight, and had to really work that entry.
Obviously, a little bit more difficulty for him. He's a very tall diver. And there he goes. A nice wave to the crowd that's been supporting him today. Lots of work to do for him heading into next year. Big year, obviously. Haruki Suyama of Japan. Very big dive here. Forward 2.5, 3 twists in the pike position. The biggest dive of this competition. 3.9 degree of difficulty.
So to make sure that people understand the difference between that dive and the previous one is he's adding 1 twist, which is make it very hard for the boys, and that's the reason why it's 3.9 degree of difficulty, and he had it, but unfortunately he didn't lock his elbow to get that entry.
Didn't have quite enough space to fully complete the dive there, but he's happy with the effort. It's very high risk to use these types of dives, but once it works out, it pays off very much. Bryden Haiti coming up. He'll be doing a forward 2.5, 2 twists. The crowd gets him going.
He's very good. I really love how Bryden is not a very movemental diver. He really likes to keep it simple. He was a little bit troubled. He was a little bit back of the board, but didn't panic. He went on his pike position, grabbed his twist, and really worked that entry right here.
Good showing of character here from the young Bryden. There's Mary and Tommy. They're happy with his performance. So is Bryden. He knows he was in trouble in that one, but fighting all the way to the end, he can be proud of that. 73.10 on the dive for the Canadian. Up next with the same dive at 3.4 degree of difficulty is Nicolas Garcia Boissier of Spain.
Beautiful control, yes. I love it, love it. His knees was a little bit bent, and I would have loved him to have his legs straight to really get that finesse part.
So much work being done outside of the pool, stretching every single day. Clearly, there's a little bit missing here for the Spanish diver, but all in all, Artur Miranda of Canada on the right, Domenico Rinaldi of Italy, both now coaching for Spain. They're happy with the general performance. On to the next from the United States of America, Tyler Downs. He'll be doing a reverse 1.5, 3.5 twist, trying to bounce back after a very difficult round previously.
Okay, that showed good character there, because it's hard sometimes to come back after a major mistake like he just did, and especially that he's doing a reverse twist, and he just, after the reverse mistake that he did the previous round, sometimes the nerve gets in and it can be very, very tricky.
That definitely changes your confidence heading into the last dive. He knows he can do better. Lots of space for improvement going back home. Here's Moritz Wiesmann of Germany. Very strong diver, and he's going to need it here with a forward 2.5, 3 twists, 3.9 degree of difficulty.
Wow, yes, very beautiful.
And the coaches are happy, German fans also.
He was a little bit forward in his position before coming into his spike position right here, but then he managed to keep calm and then go for that dive, and it's a hard dive, so he needed that momentum.
And he really doesn't skip anything on the technique, makes sure all the positions are nice and tight, and he gets rewarded here with 7s on a very big dive. He was in 3rd position before. This might be enough to keep him right there. Daniel Goodfellow of Great Britain, also trying to shake off a more difficult round before. He's going to finish the competition with a back 3.5 tuck, 3.6 degree of difficulty. Massive dive here.
Oh, great. That was a great opportunity.
There.
Yes, that was a great opportunity for him to go get those scores, because it's a very big dive. So unfortunately, he was a little bit short, and he should have come out a little bit later and stayed tight in that position with his abdominal to really get that entry done.
6.5 and 7s on the dive. A little bit disappointed with his performance. Knows he can do better. Li Shixin is back on the board. There's the German, knowing he's comfortable in his 3rd position so far. And there's the Australian. Very, very big dive for him. Forward 2.5 with 3 twists. And I'm gonna say it again, at 36 years old, that is a lot to ask for.
Yes.
3.9 degree of difficulty. Oh, wow.
Okay, so that was, I was scared right here. And to be honest, I thought he would have stopped. But he went for it because he has so much experience, and he knows that he's so strong that he's capable of doing that dive with no arm circle, but he really went for it. He uses his strength.
In a very, very uncomfortable position on the board, he manages to get that rotation going, just a little bit off at the end, but enough for 6s and 70.20 on the dive. Wow.
You know, sometimes it's hard when you know you're finishing with a good dive, you're in a good position for a middle to really control those nerves.
This could have ended very badly for him, but kept his composure. Jack Law will be doing the exact same dive, hoping to finish the day strong. He's been having a bit of a rough campaign today. In any case, you want your last dive to be great. To finish off your day. Forward 2.5, 3 twists, pike position.
No. It's unfortunate because he's very strong and he's very capable of doing beautiful dive. He was a little bit back, a little bit on the side of the board, so that creates a big challenge for him to do a big dive like that.
Bad day at the office for bronze medalist at the Olympics, Jack Law. 72.15. He knows he can do much, much better than that. Here's your current leaders, Li Shixin and Moritz Wiesmann. But there's one more diver that has something to say about those results. And that is your current world champion. So let's say he wasn't going to do his last dive, he would still be in third place in this competition, which is absolutely amazing.
And not too far from the first place too, so.
And he's not too far from the current leaders. But guess what? He wants to complete the event, and he'll end it off with a 3.8 degree of difficulty forward 4.5 somersaults in the tuck position.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
And the cherry on top.
Yes, beautiful. Finishing with an easier, well, it's not easy, but more comfortable dive for him. He was a little bit back, didn't panic. Grab his tuck position, could have been more tight, his position, but that's to be very picky. Right here, come out, and he knew exactly where he was.
So high up in the air, Li Shixin appreciating what just happened here.
Yes.
A monster score of 102.60 points for one dive only. And that, of course, puts him in first position.
Beautiful.
You can hear it behind us. The crowd is going absolutely wild. Here are your final results with nearly 100 points ahead.
Wow.
Zongyuan Wang of China, Li Shixin of Australia in second, Moritz Wiesmann of Germany in third. And good performance for Bryden Haiti in 9th place for Canada. There's your top 3 divers for this event. All smiles for the boys.
That was a very exciting event.
And I love watching that one. Obviously, it's close to my heart. And I just get so amazed at the level of diving, especially from the current world champion from China. I mean, that score of 556 points, 0.75 is just a monster score.
And you are the best to know that.
I got close to that at one point in my career.
A few times, I would say.
Well, the work is set up for the super final, which will be the 3rd leg of this World Cup season, coming up in August after the World Championship. So we'll be following what's going on for that. Lots more diving coming up for today, as we take a look back at the amazing dives we just witnessed on the men's 3-meter final. Daniel Goodfellow of Great Britain was just there. It was a good mixture of experienced divers and upcoming divers in this event.
And it shows that even though if some of them have massive experience, but it can be a bad day at the office. And that's the beauty of diving.
Diving is a sport of the day, as we call it.
Yes.
So you can be an Olympic champion or an Olympic medalist. Doesn't mean you're going to have the best day every single time.
And what I loved after the event is that the men appreciate their opponents, that they were able to cheer, to be happy for them, you know? Even though it's an individual sport, we are all happy for our everybody.
And it's good that you mentioned that. Diving is a very friendly sport. We're just a big family. And it shows in every single event. We appreciate good diving, even if we're taking part of that event in itself.
When it's good, it's good.
We'll be back with more diving at the World Aquatics Diving World Cup here in Montreal with the women's 10-meter platform final, as the athletes are getting warmed up right now.
Montreal, please welcome the medal ceremony for the men's 3-meter championship final.
Montréal, veuillez accueillir la cérémonie des médailles pour l'épreuve finale des hommes au tremplin de 3 mètres.
The medals and gifts will be presented by
Les médailles et les cadeaux seront remis par
Chairperson of the World Aquatics Technical Diving Committee,
Président du comité technique de plongeon de World Aquatics,
Bashar Al-Safai. The winner of the bronze medal,
gagnant de la médaille de bronze,
representing Germany,
représentant l'Allemagne,
Moritz Westman. The winner of the silver medal,
gagnant de la médaille d'argent,
representing Australia,
représentant l'Australie,
Lee Shi-in. The winner of the gold medal and your World Aquatics World Cup champion,
gagnant de la médaille d'or et champion de la Coupe du Monde World Aquatics de plongeon,
representing People's Republic of China,
représentant la République populaire de Chine,
Wang John Yuan. Athletes, the podium is all yours. Diving fans, please rise if you are able and join us for the national anthem of the People's Republic of China.
Veuillez maintenant vous lever, si vous le pouvez, pour l'hymne national de la République populaire de Chine.
Montreal, make some noise for your World Cup medalists.
Montréal, faites du bruit pour vos médaillés de cette Coupe du monde de plongeon.
podium with the gold medal winner. I'm standing by the podium here with your gold medal winner from China, Wang Zongyuan, and his translator. Now tell me, gentlemen, China is perfect on the podium since the beginning. Ask Wang to tell us in his own words how he feels as gold medalist for this World Cup.
他说呢，自从这次比赛开始，咱们中国一直在拿到金牌嘛，站在领奖台最高端。然后你现在有什么感觉吗？现在？
现在非常激动，非常开心，又为中国跳水队又拿到了一枚金牌，也希望我们后面的队员们也能争取拿到更好的成绩，然后能冲到最高领奖台。
So he's very excited and happy to get another gold medal for the Team China, and he's so proud of it. And he hopes his teammates in the upcoming events will get more medals for China diving.
Now tell me, I was watching each and every one of his dives up there on the springboard. He makes it look so easy. Is that just his style, or he's in his own world when he's up there?
他说他认真看了你每一跳，看你每一跳的时候都特别放松，特别轻松。你是说这是你的风格吗？还是说你就是在想别的事情，还是或者怎么样？
因为自己比赛的经验多了，然后有自己的比赛的节奏，所以当别人看到我是这么放松的状态，其实我还是挺紧张的。虽然别人能看得出我的放松，但是我只想我自己跳的动作，自己的要领，把过程做好，结果就好了。
Actually, he's nervous, even though he looks so easy.
We can't tell.
他看不出来。
All right.
He's very nervous, and he just think about each dive, how to do each dive, do each move. For the competition, he's got his own pace. So even though he looks easy and relaxing, but he's just pay attention.
Well done job. Congratulations, Wang, once again. Your gold medalist from China, Wang Zongyuan, le médaillé d'or de la Chine, Wang Zongyuan. Ça a toujours l'air facile, mais il est nerveux à l'intérieur.